Hunger, it is the most primal instinct, the force that drives every living being. But what happens when this instinct goes mad? What happens when hunger becomes an anomaly, a black hole that cannot be filled? In the late 18th century, in France, a man was born who was the embodiment of this nightmare, a man whose life became a dark legend, a medical mystery that still challenges our understanding today. He wasn't just a hungry man. He was a living abyss. This is the unbelievable and grotesque true story of Tarrare. If you love true stories that defy imagination, subscribe to the channel now. Leave a like. Turn on the bell and a comment to support this project. Every gesture is essential. Imagine a man whose stomach was a curse. A man who, driven by an endless hunger, came to commit unimaginable acts. What if I told you that the French army tried to turn this nightmare into a secret weapon? Tarrare was born near Lyon, France, around 1772. From childhood, he was different. His hunger was prodigious, abnormal. His parents were poor farmers, and this son, capable of devouring in a single day the food meant for the entire family, was a catastrophe. At 17, Tarrare could eat a quarter of a bullock, his own body weight in meat, in less than 24 hours. Unable to support him, his parents threw him out. Thus began a nomadic life, joining a troupe of thieves and sideshow freaks. He became an attraction. His act was simple and terrifying. He would eat anything the audience threw at him. Corks, stones, entire baskets of apples swallowed one after another, and even live animals. His mouth, it was said, could stretch unnaturally wide, revealing a throat as dark as a well. His skin was loose, and he could pull it and wrap it around his abdomen after a meal. It was a grotesque spectacle. At the outbreak of the French Revolution, Tarrare joined the army, but even there, his hunger was a problem. Military rations were an insult to his stomach. He was seen rummaging through garbage, drinking the blood of other patients in the infirmary, and eating medicinal poultices. His condition led to his collapse, and he was admitted to the military hospital at Salts. There, he became the obsession of two of the greatest surgeons of the era, Dr. Curville and Baron Dominique Chanlery. In disbelief, they decided to test the limits of this human abyss. They prepared a meal for 15 laborers for him. Tarrare ate it all and immediately fell asleep, his belly swollen like a balloon. In another experiment, they gave him a live cat. Tarrare tore it apart with his teeth, drank its blood, and devoured it whole, later vomiting up its fur and bones. The same happened with snakes, lizards, and an entire eel swallowed without chewing. Tarrare's condition, as grotesque as it was, gave a French general, Alexandre de Bornay, an absurd idea. If this man could swallow anything, why not use him as a secret messenger? The plan was insane, but simple. Tarrare would swallow a small wooden box containing a message. He would cross enemy lines, arrive in Prussia, defecate the box, and deliver the message. As a reward, they promised him a wheelbarrow full of bullocks' entrails. The mission was a complete disaster. Tarrare, who didn't speak a word of German, was captured almost immediately. The Prussian soldiers searched him and found nothing. They flogged him, but he didn't confess. Finally, they chained him in a latrine, waiting for nature to take its course. After 30 agonizing hours, the box emerged. The Prussians opened it with anticipation, only to find that the message was a simple test note. Furious at being fooled, they staged a mock execution to terrify him before beating him savagely and abandoning him back on French territory. The experience traumatized him forever. Tarrare returned to the military hospital, begging the doctors to cure him by any means. Laudanum, wine vinegar, tobacco pills, no cure worked. His hunger did not diminish. In fact, it worsened. Patients began to notice him wandering the hospital at night, trying to drink blood from bloodletting procedures and fighting with stray dogs over scraps. Then, the horror. A 14-month-old child, a patient in the hospital, vanished without a trace. The unspeakable and terrifying suspicions immediately fell on Tarrare. It was the only possible explanation. Before they could question or formally accuse him, he understood. Driven by fear and shame, he fled the hospital, vanishing into the darkness and leaving behind a mystery that would never be solved. 4 years later, a doctor at the hospital of Versailles was called to see a dying man. It was Tarrare. Weak and suffering from tuberculosis, he died within a month. But even in death, his anomaly continued to obsess the scientific community. The surgeons, despite the unbearable stench of his corpse, decided to perform an autopsy to finally unveil his secret. What they found was shocking. His internal passages were enormous. His throat was so wide they could look down it and see directly into his stomach. His liver and gallbladder were abnormally large, but the stomach was the true anomaly. It was so immense and flaccid that it filled almost his entire abdominal cavity. Despite the examination, no definitive explanation was found. His condition was classified as an extreme case of polyphagia, which simply means to eat much, a non-answer to an unprecedented mystery. Tarrare remains an enigma, a freak of nature, an unknown disease. His story reminds us that sometimes the most unspeakable horrors are not hidden in legends, but in the forgotten pages of old medical textbooks. If you love true stories that defy imagination, subscribe to the channel now. Leave a like, turn on the bell, and a comment to support this project. Every gesture is essential.